The handcuffs click into place around Jamal Anderson's wrists as cameras flash from every direction. The 6'8" NBA star stands frozen on the sidewalk, his charity event flyers scattered at his feet, while Officer Martinez reads him his rights. But what happened next shocked everyone who witnessed it that Tuesday morning in downtown Atlanta. Let me take you back 6 hours earlier, when this nightmare began as the most important day of Jamal's year. The alarm buzzes at 5:30 a.m. in Jamal's penthouse apartment overlooking the city. He springs out of bed with the energy of a man on a mission. Today isn't just any day, it's the annual Hoops for Hope charity event, something he's been planning for 8 months. The event will provide basketball scholarships for underprivileged kids across Atlanta, and Jamal has personally funded the entire program. Today's going to change lives, he tells himself in the mirror, adjusting his crisp white button-down shirt and navy blazer. The outfit is carefully chosen, professional enough for the press conference, casual enough to shoot hoops with the kids later. His phone buzzes with a text from his manager Karen Lee. Media arrives at 10 a.m. Don't be late, superstar. Jamal grins, grabbing the box of colorful flyers from his kitchen counter. Each one features smiling children and the event details. Free basketball camp and scholarship opportunities, sponsored by Jamal Anderson Foundation. He's had these printed on the finest paper because, as he always says, these kids deserve the best of everything. The morning sun bathes Atlanta's skyline in golden light as Jamal slides into his black Mercedes. He keeps the radio off. He wants to savor these quiet moments before the beautiful chaos of the day begins. At red lights, he practices his speech in the rearview mirror. Every child deserves a chance to dream, he rehearses, his voice carrying the passion that made him famous both on and off the court. And sometimes, all they need is someone to believe in them. Little did Jamal know that in less than 30 minutes, his own dreams for the day would turn into his worst nightmare. The city streets are bustling with morning commuters as Jamal navigates toward the community center. He waves at a few fans who recognize his car, their faces lighting up with excitement. A group of kids on their way to school point and cheer when they spot him. This is why he loves Atlanta. It's home, and these are his people. But as he turns onto Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, just 4 blocks from the community center, Jamal notices the police car in his rearview mirror. The cruiser has been following him for the past 3 blocks, and now the red and blue lights begin flashing. Jamal's heart rate quickens, but he immediately pulls over to the curb. He's been through this before. Driving while black in America comes with its own set of protocols. He learned long ago. He turns off the engine, places both hands on the steering wheel, and waits. Officer Martinez approaches the driver's side while his partner, Officer Thompson, positions himself near the passenger door. Martinez taps on the window with his knuckles. License and registration, Martinez says as Jamal rolls down the window. Of course, officer. May I ask what this is about? Jamal's voice remains calm and respectful, though his mind races with concern about being late to his own event. You match the description of a suspect in an armed robbery that occurred 20 minutes ago. Martinez replies, his hand moving instinctively toward his holster. Black male, approximately 6 feet tall, wearing a white shirt and dark jacket, driving a luxury vehicle. Jamal's eyebrows furrow in confusion. He glances at his charity event flyers on the passenger seat, then back at the officer. Officer, I think there's been a mistake. I'm Jamal Anderson from the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm actually heading to my charity event just down the street. But Martinez's expression doesn't change. If anything, it hardens. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle immediately. This decision would change everything that happened next. As Jamal complies, sliding out of his Mercedes with his hands visible, a crowd begins to gather on the sidewalk. Office workers stop their morning commute, phones already recording. A mother pushing a stroller pauses, her face filled with recognition and growing concern. That's Jamal Anderson, someone whispers from the crowd. Officer Thompson draws his weapon, keeping it lowered but ready. Turn around and place your hands behind your back. Jamal's world stops spinning. The charity flyers flutter in the morning breeze as his car door remains open. His speech notes, his carefully planned timeline. His promise to those kids waiting at the community center. Everything crumbles in this single moment. "Officer, please," Jamal says, his voice steady despite the fear creeping into his chest. "There are 200 kids waiting for me at the community center. This is all just a misunderstanding." But the real shock was still coming. Martinez pulls out his handcuffs, approaching Jamal from behind as the crowd grows larger and more agitated. The clicking sound of metal against metal echoes off the surrounding buildings as the restraints lock around Jamal's wrists. "Jamal Anderson, you're under arrest for suspicion of armed robbery." The cold metal clicks around Jamal's wrists as Officer Thompson secures the handcuffs, the sound echoing through the tense morning air. Jamal's heart pounds, but he forces his voice to remain steady, knowing that any sudden movement could escalate this nightmare beyond repair. "Officers, please listen to me," Jamal says, his voice carrying the calm authority he's developed through years of speaking to packed arenas. "I'm Jamal Anderson. I play for the Chicago Bulls. I'm heading to my own charity event downtown at the community center on 5th Street. Officer Thompson barely glances at him, more focused on securing the restraints. But Officer Greg Miller, the younger of the two, is mid-step. Something in Jamal's tone makes him look closer at the man they've detained. "Anderson," Miller repeats, squinting. "Wait a minute." By now, a crowd has begun to gather on the sidewalk. Morning commuters slow their pace, phones already out and recording. The sight of a well-dressed black man in handcuffs always draws attention. But there's something different about this scene. Whispers ripple through the growing crowd. "Is that really him?" a woman asks, holding up her phone to capture better footage. "Oh my God, that's Jamal Anderson," another voice calls out. From the Bulls, the recognition spreads like wildfire. Within minutes, at least 15 people have their phones trained on the scene, and Jamal can see the live notification bubbles popping up on several screens. His stomach drops as he realizes this moment is already being broadcast to thousands. Officer Miller's radio crackles, and he fumbles with the device while stealing glances at Jamal. "Thompson, we might have a problem here." "What kind of problem?" Thompson asks, still focused on checking Jamal's pockets. "I think this really is Jamal Anderson, the basketball player." Thompson finally looks up, studying Jamal's face more carefully. The doubt creeps into his expression as he takes in Jamal's expensive clothing, his calm demeanor, and the growing crowd of people who clearly recognize him. "Look in my wallet," Jamal suggests quietly. "Back pocket. You'll find my NBA player identification card, my driver's license, everything you need to verify who I am." Miller retrieves the wallet with shaking hands. As he flips it open, his face goes pale. There it is, the official NBA player ID card, complete with Jamal's photo and team affiliation. His driver's license confirms the same identity. "Jesus Christ," Miller mutters under his breath, showing the ID to his partner. The crowd is getting larger and more vocal. Someone shouts, "You got the wrong guy," while others are calling for the officers to release him immediately. The energy is shifting from curious to angry, and both officers can feel it. Thompson's radio squawks again, this time with an urgent tone from dispatch. "Unit 47, what's your status on the downtown stop?" "Dispatch, we may have complications," Thompson responds, his confidence wavering for the first time. Jamal looks directly into one of the nearby cameras, knowing his words will reach far beyond the street corner. "I want everyone to know that I'm cooperating fully with these officers. I understand they're doing their job, but I also want people to understand that I was simply driving to help children in our community today." His voice carries a weight that makes even Thompson pause. There's no anger, no resentment, just a profound sadness that this is happening at all. "The kids at the community center are expecting me," Jamal continues. "We're launching a literacy program today that we've been planning for months. These officers stopped me because they said I matched the description of a suspect. But I hope we can resolve this quickly so I don't disappoint those children." Miller looks at Thompson, then back at the crowd, then at his radio. The weight of the situation is becoming clear. They've handcuffed one of the city's most beloved athletes, and it's all being recorded in real time. "Thompson," Miller says quietly, "we need to call this into the sergeant. Now." But before Thompson can respond, His radio crackles again with an urgent message that changes everything. The dispatcher's voice is tense. All units, be advised, suspect from earlier robbery has been apprehended on the south side. Repeat, suspect is in custody. The blood drains from both officers' faces as they realize what this means. The real perpetrator has been caught, which means they've been detaining an innocent man for the past 10 minutes. An innocent man who happens to be a famous athlete. An innocent man whose detention is now being live-streamed to thousands of viewers. Miller immediately starts searching his phone for more information about Jamal Anderson, desperate to understand exactly how badly they've miscalculated this situation. The cold metal of the handcuffs bit into Jamal's wrists as Officer Rodriguez tightened them, the click echoing through the growing crowd of onlookers. The morning sun felt harsher now, casting long shadows across the sidewalk where dozens of phones captured every moment of his humiliation. "This is insane," Jamal muttered, his voice carrying a tremor he couldn't suppress. "I'm telling you, I'm Jamal Anderson. I play for the Hawks. Just Google my name." Officer Miller stood frozen, his partner's radio crackling with dispatch updates about other calls across the city. The doubt in Miller's eyes was growing stronger by the second, especially as more bystanders gathered, their whispers creating a low rumble of confusion and anger. "Yo, that's really him," a teenager called out, holding up his phone screen showing Jamal's NBA stats. "That's Jaya from the Hawks, man. What are y'all doing?" But before anyone could respond, a sleek black Tesla screeched to a halt at the curb, its door flying open. Karen Lee burst onto the sidewalk like a force of nature, her heels clicking against the pavement as she pushed through the crowd. At 52, Jamal's manager had weathered countless storms in the sports industry, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. "What the hell is going on here?" Karen's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. She'd been Jamal's manager since his rookie year, building him from a promising college player into one of the league's most respected stars. More than that, she'd become like family to him after his parents died in that car accident 3 years ago. Officer Rodriguez straightened, clearly uncomfortable with the growing audience. "Ma'am, we need you to step back. This is police business." "Police business?" Karen's laugh was sharp and bitter. "You've handcuffed one of Atlanta's most beloved athletes on his way to feed hungry children. Do you have any idea what you've just done?" She pulled out her phone, fingers flying across the screen. "I'm calling our legal team right now, and trust me, they're going to want answers about why you ignored basic protocol and positive identification procedures." The crowd murmured approval, but Jamal felt a chill run down his spine. He could see news vans beginning to appear at the far end of the street, their satellite dishes rising like mechanical vultures. This was exactly what he'd feared. His charity event, meant to bring hope to kids who looked up to him, was about to become overshadowed by another story of racial profiling. "Karen, just get me out of here," Jamal said quietly, his voice barely audible above the growing noise. "The kids are waiting. We've got families depending on this event." Officer Miller finally spoke up, his voice uncertain. "Rodriguez, maybe we should verify his identity before this gets any bigger. I mean, look round us." But his partner wasn't backing down. "We have a description, Miller. We follow procedure. If his story checks out, he'll be released." "If his story checks out," Karen's voice rose an octave. "You've got the internet in your pocket. You could verify his identity in 30 seconds. But instead you're treating him like a common criminal." She turned to address the crowd directly, her voice carrying the authority that had made her one of the most feared negotiators in professional sports. "This man has donated millions to Atlanta charities. He's built 3 community centers in underserved neighborhoods. Tonight, he was supposed to host 200 underprivileged children at a dinner that could change their lives." The murmur from the crowd grew louder, and Jamal could see the officers exchanging worried glances. But it was what he overheard next that made his blood run cold. Officer Rodriguez stepped closer to his partner, speaking in what he thought was a whisper. "Miller, you know what the captain said about high-profile stops. We document everything, follow every step of protocol, and we don't back down just because someone makes noise. But Rodriguez, what if we're wrong? What if this really blows up? Then we followed procedure. That's all that matters." Jamal's heart sank as he realized this wasn't just about mistaken identity anymore. There was something deeper happening here, something that suggested this stop might not have been as random as it appeared. The news vans were getting closer now, their crews spilling onto the sidewalk with cameras and microphones. Karen noticed too, and her expression shifted from anger to calculation. "Jamal, they're not going to release you quietly," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "They're going to drag this out, make it a spectacle, while those kids sit in that community center wondering why their hero didn't show up." She pulled out her phone again, this time making a very different call. "Yes, this is Karen Lee. I need to speak with Chief Daniels immediately." "No, this cannot wait." As she spoke, Jamal watched Officer Miller's face grow paler with each passing second. The young officer kept glancing between his partner, the growing crowd, and the approaching media circus, clearly realizing they were in way over their heads. But just as Karen ended her call with a satisfied smile, Jamal noticed something that made his stomach drop. 3 more police cars were turning the corner, their lights flashing as they approached the scene. Whatever was happening here, it was about to get much, much worse. The radio on Officer Rodriguez's shoulder crackled to life with an urgent message that would change everything. The conference room falls silent as Police Chief Rodney Daniels steps through the doorway, his weathered face carrying the weight of 30 years on the force. The chaos outside seems to pause as every eye turns toward him. From Jamal still seated in handcuffs to Karen pacing like a caged tiger near the window. "Chief Daniels," Karen begins, but he raises a hand to stop her. "I know who you are, Ms. Lee, and I know exactly who your client is." His voice carries a gravelly authority that commands attention. Jamal looks up, searching the chief's face for any hint of what comes next. The chief pulls out a chair across from Jamal, the metal scraping against the floor like fingernails on a chalkboard. "Mr. Anderson, I've been following your career since you were drafted. My grandson has your jersey hanging in his bedroom." Officer Miller shifts uncomfortably by the door, suddenly aware that his morning routine stop has spiraled into something far beyond a simple arrest. The chief's eyes move between the officers and Jamal, calculating something deeper than anyone in the room realizes. "Tell me about this charity event," Chief Daniels says, leaning forward. "In your own words." Jamal's voice starts quietly, but grows stronger with each sentence. "Every month, I visit kids in underserved communities. Today was supposed to be special. We're launching a reading program at Lincoln Elementary. These kids, they look forward to it more than you know." His eyes glisten as he continues. "There's this little girl, Aisha, who told me last month that meeting me was the best day of her life. She's probably sitting in that gymnasium right now, wondering why I didn't show up." The room grows heavy with the weight of his words. Through the conference room window, the city skyline stretches endlessly, a reminder of the millions of lives touched by what happens in this small space. But here's what nobody in that room knows yet. The real reason Chief Daniels looks so concerned isn't just about public relations. Karen steps closer to the table. "Chief, we both know this was a case of mistaken identity. The real question is what happens next. Because right now, there are news vans lining up outside, and the community is asking questions that need answers." Chief Daniels glances toward the window where the faint sound of chanting can be heard from the street below. No justice, no peace echoes up from the growing crowd, punctuated by car horns and the distant hum of helicopter rotors. "The suspect we were looking for," Chief Daniels begins carefully, "was described as a black male, approximately 6'3", driving a dark sedan in this neighborhood." He pauses, looking directly at Jamal. "The description came from a convenience store robbery to blocks from where you were stopped." Jamal's jaw tightens. "So because I'm black and tall, that automatically makes me a suspect?" "That's not what I'm saying," Chief Daniels responds, but his voice lacks conviction. The truth hangs in the room like smoke. They all know exactly what happened here. Officer Miller finally speaks up from his position by the door. "Chief, we followed protocol, but maybe..." He trails off, glancing at his partner who shoots him a warning look. The tension in the room reaches a breaking point when a knock interrupts them. Another officer pokes his head in. "Chief, you need to see this." He holds up his phone, showing a local news broadcast. The headline reads, NBA star Jamal Anderson detained by police. Community demands answers. Karen crosses her arms. Chief, my client has been nothing but cooperative. He's missed his charity event, been publicly humiliated. And for what? Following the law while black? Chief Daniels stands, walking to the window overlooking the street. The crowd has doubled in size since they entered the conference room. Signs wave in the air, and local news reporters set up their equipment with practiced efficiency. Mr. Anderson, the chief says without turning around, if I release you right now, what happens next? Jamal looks at Karen, then back at the chief. I go to my charity event. I explain to those kids why I was late, and I pray they still believe in the system that's supposed to protect them. The chief's phone buzzes urgently on the table. He glances at the caller ID and his expression shifts dramatically. The name on the screen makes him pause mid-breath, and suddenly everyone in the room realizes this situation is about to take another unexpected turn. I need to take this call, Chief Daniels says, his voice now carrying an edge of concern that wasn't there moments before. As he reaches for the phone, Jamal and Karen exchange a look. Whatever is coming next will determine not just Jamal's immediate future, but the entire trajectory of this unfolding crisis. The silence in Chief Daniels' office stretches like a taut wire as he sets down the phone. His weathered face carries the weight of a decision that could define his career, but more importantly, could begin to heal a wound that runs deeper than any single incident. He looks across the desk at Jamal, whose quiet dignity has never wavered despite hours of wrongful detention. Mr. Anderson, the chief begins, his voice carrying a gravity that fills the room. You're free to go. All charges dropped. My officers made a grave error today, and I take full responsibility. He stands, extending his hand. On behalf of the entire department, I apologize. This should never have happened. Jamal rises slowly, studying the chief's face for any trace of insincerity. Finding none, he accepts the handshake with a firm grip that speaks volumes about his character. I appreciate that, Chief. I really do. But this isn't just about me. This is about every person who looks like me who might not have cameras rolling, or a manager fighting for them. As they walk through the station, officers lower their heads, some in shame, others in recognition of a moment that will reshape how they see their community. Officer Miller approaches hesitantly, his earlier doubt having transformed into something approaching respect. Mr. Anderson, Miller says quietly, I want you to know, seeing how you handled this today, it changed something in me. That's not easy to admit, but it's the truth. Jamal pauses, placing a hand on the younger officer's shoulder. That's all any of us can ask for, the courage to grow when we're confronted with our blind spots. Outside the station, the scene is electric with anticipation. News vans line the street, their satellite dishes reaching toward a sky painted orange by the setting sun. Karen stands near a makeshift podium, her phone pressed to her ear as she coordinates with the charity venue. The crowd of supporters has grown throughout the afternoon, and their faces light up as the station doors open. The roar is immediate and thunderous. Signs wave in the air reading justice for Jamal and wrong is wrong. But what strikes Jamal most are the children in the crowd. Young faces looking up at him with hope and admiration, reminding him why he started his foundation in the first place. He steps to the microphone, and the crowd gradually quiets. The weight of the moment settles on his shoulders, but instead of burden, he feels purpose. Today started like any other day. Jamal begins, his voice carrying clearly through the speakers. I woke up excited about our charity event, about the kids we were going to help, about the community we were going to serve. I never imagined I'd spend the day handcuffed in the back of a police car for the crime of driving, while black in my own neighborhood. The crowd responds with a mixture of anger and support, but Jamal raises his hand gently. But here's what I learned today. Change doesn't happen when we retreat to our corners and point fingers. Change happens when we have the courage to stand in uncomfortable spaces and have honest conversations. Today, I saw officers who were willing to question their assumptions. I met a chief who chose accountability over cover-up, and I witnessed a community that refused to let injustice go unchallenged. He pauses, his eyes finding families in the crowd, parents holding their children a little tighter. The charity event we planned for today. It's still happening. Right now, actually. Because the work doesn't stop. The need doesn't disappear because we face obstacles. If anything, days like today remind us why that work is so crucial. Karen steps forward, whispering something in his ear about the venue being ready, about the kids waiting. Jamal nods, then returns to the microphone. I want to invite every single one of you to join us. Not just tonight, but in the work ahead. Because this isn't about one NBA player or one police stop. This is about the kind of community we choose to build together. This is about ensuring that no child grows up thinking their dreams are limited by the color of their skin or the neighborhood they come from. As the crowd begins to disperse toward the charity venue, Officer Miller approaches one final time. Mr. Anderson, would it be appropriate if some of us came to the event tonight? Not in uniform, just as community members? Jamal's smile is genuine and warm. Officer Miller, the doors are open to everyone. That's the point. The community center buzzes with energy as hundreds pack into the space, originally designed for a fraction of that number. Children who had been waiting all day for their hero finally get their moment, their faces glowing as Jamal kneels to their level, listening to their dreams, signing basketballs and homework folders with equal enthusiasm. But perhaps the most powerful moment comes when Officer Miller arrives with his teenage daughter, both of them nervous but determined. The crowd parts as they approach Jamal, and in that moment, barriers that have existed for generations begin to crack. Mr. Anderson, Miller's daughter says shyly, "My dad told me what happened today, and how you could have been angry, but you chose to be kind instead. That's the kind of person I want to be." Jamal looks from the girl to her father, seeing in their eyes the reflection of a community beginning to heal. "You already are that person," he tells her, "and your dad is learning to be one too." That's how change really happens, one conversation, one choice, one person at a time. As the evening winds down, Jamal takes the microphone one last time. The crowd has grown throughout the night, words spreading through social media and local news about something special happening at the community center. Today tested everything I believe about grace, about justice, about the power of community. He says, his voice carrying the exhaustion and triumph of the day. I could have let anger consume me. I could have let cynicism win. But this community showed me something better. You showed me that our response to injustice defines us more than the injustice itself. He gestures to the mixed crowd, families from the neighborhood, police officers still in uniform who came after their shifts, city officials who had been monitoring the situation all day, and countless others drawn by the possibility of something transformative. This is what change looks like. Not perfect, not easy, but real. And it starts with each of us choosing to see each other's humanity, even when it's difficult, especially when it's difficult. The applause that follows isn't just appreciation, it's agreement, commitment, a community promising itself to do better. Later, as the last families filter out into the night, Jamal stands in the empty community center with Karen and a small group of volunteers. The silence is different now, not the tense quiet of the police station, but the peaceful stillness of work completed and relationships built. "You know what the real victory is today," Jamal says, picking up a child's drawing left behind on one of the tables. It shows him in his basketball uniform with the words "My hero" scrawled in crayon above it. It's that little girl who saw her dad choose growth over defensiveness. It's those kids who learned that standing up for what's right doesn't require anger or hatred. It's a community that decided to come together instead of pulling apart. Karen nods, exhausted but satisfied. The calls haven't stopped. Communities from 3 other states want to know about replicating tonight's model. This could be bigger than we ever imagined. Jamal looks out the window at the city lights, the same streets where his day began with such different expectations. Then we better get to work. Because if today taught me anything, it's that change is possible. But it requires all of us to show up, to do the hard work, and to never stop believing that we can build something better together. He folds the child's drawing carefully and slips it into his jacket pocket, a reminder that heroes aren't defined by the obstacles they face, but by how they choose to overcome them, and more importantly, how they inspire others to do the same.